Welcome to the channel where we explore the most fascinating, shocking, and unbelievable stories of coins that seem ordinary at first glance but are in fact treasures worth unimaginable amounts of money. And today we are diving deep into the incredible story of the 1979 half-dollar coin that has captured the attention of collectors and enthusiasts all over the world because this seemingly regular piece of change has been valued at a staggering $99 million due to the rare and mind-blowing errors and mistakes that occurred during its minting, making it one of the most valuable coins in the history of United States currency. And as we unfold the story, you will learn not only what makes this coin so rare but also the different varieties of errors, the historical context of the coin, the minting mishaps that contributed to its unique features, the collector frenzy it has inspired, the shocking prices paid in auctions and private sales, and the endless possibilities of why such a coin could reach such astronomical value. Because understanding a coin like the 1979 half-dollar is not just about its physical appearance but also about the story it tells and the curiosity it sparks. And when we start with the basics, we know that the half-dollar coin in 1979 carried the image of John F. Kennedy on the obverse, a design first introduced in 1964 after the assassination of the beloved president. And by 1979 the coin was struck at multiple mints including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But the errors that surfaced in some of these pieces made certain coins dramatically different from the rest. Now imagine a coin struck slightly off-center so that the rim cuts into Kennedy's profile, or a coin struck on the wrong planchet meant for a smaller denomination like a quarter or even a foreign coin blank. Or imagine doubled dies where the lettering or the date shows a ghost-like shadow making it appear as though the coin was stamped twice, or a coin that has missing clad layers revealing the copper core underneath, or one with dramatic die cracks running across Kennedy's portrait like lightning bolts. All of these errors and many more are possibilities that could have happened to the 1979 half-dollar and contributed to its incredible rarity. And when you factor in that very few such examples could have survived in circulation or been carefully preserved in pristine condition, you begin to understand why collectors are willing to pay insane amounts for just one piece, because to them it is not just money but history, rarity, and mystery combined in metal. And when we explore the auction history of half-dollars from other years, we see how some coins with dramatic errors have sold for thousands, tens of thousands, and even hundreds of thousands of dollars. But the story of the 1979 half-dollar that reached $99 million is in a class of its own, because it represents the extreme of what collectors will do when rarity, error, and mystique all come together. And there are endless theories about why this coin is so valuable. Some say it was struck on a gold planchet accidentally left in the press. Others say it was a unique die trial piece with experimental composition that slipped out of the mint. And still others speculate that its incredible state of preservation combined with multiple visible errors made it one of a kind. And when you consider that wealthy collectors and even institutions sometimes compete for unique pieces, driving up the price beyond imagination, it becomes believable that one coin could soar to nearly 100 million. Because rarity has no ceiling when passion and wealth collide. And let us not forget that the year 1979 was also the first year of the Susan B. Anthony dollar coin, so the US Mint was undergoing design changes and shifts in coinage production which could have contributed to unusual errors slipping through, and the crossover of different dies, planchets, and experiments in that year could have produced anomalies in Kennedy half-dollars that now leave collectors puzzled and amazed. And every detail matters, from mint marks that are misplaced or missing to letters on the reverse like United States of America showing doubling, to the eagle on the reverse being partially missing due to filled dies, to the rim showing misaligned reading. Every possibility increases the coin's intrigue and its story. And as we expand into why people pay so much, we must also explore human psychology, because collectors are driven by desire to own what others cannot. And when a coin becomes the centerpiece of a collection or a symbol of prestige, the sky is the limit for its price. And with the 1979 half dollar valued at $99 million, it becomes less about face value and more about being a one-of-a-kind masterpiece born from mistake. And stories of coins like this spread virally through news, auctions, collector groups, and social media, sparking more and more interest, inspiring everyday people to check their change, hoping to find a hidden treasure. Because the possibility that you could hold a coin worth millions in your hand is thrilling and captivating. And we cannot overlook the cultural significance of the Kennedy half dollar itself, which has always held a special place in American coinage because it symbolizes a moment of history and tragedy. So when you pair that emotional connection with era rarity, you get an explosive combination that fuels both nostalgia and monetary value. And if we break down the possible errors that could explain this $99 million valuation, we might consider a multiple strike coin where Kennedy's face appears several times overlapping, or a transitional error struck on a silver planchet left over from earlier years, or a proof coin intended for collectors struck with circulation dies, creating a hybrid rarity, or perhaps even an overstruck coin where a previously minted coin was struck again, with half-dollar dies creating an eerie blend of designs. And each of these scenarios could produce a coin unlike any other. And then there are the dramatic mint state conditions where a coin survives with no wear, no scratches, and blazing original luster, making it essentially flawless. And when such a coin also carries errors, the multiplier effect on value is astonishing. And stories circulate among collectors that the 99 million coin was discovered not in a safe or in a collector's stash but by accident in pocket change or an old coin jar, adding to the legend that ordinary people can stumble upon extraordinary fortune. And this inspires even more searching, more excitement, and more value. And as the narrative of the coin spreads, it takes on a life of its own, becoming almost mythical, a piece of metal transformed into a symbol of possibility and fortune. And when you think about the number 99 million, it may sound unbelievable, but remember that art pieces, stamps, and rare artifacts have fetched similar sums when uniqueness and desire aligned. And coins are no different because they are small works of art that tell stories of history, era, and human obsession. And in the case of the 1979 half dollar, its journey from minting mishap to world record valuation is a story that will live on. So whether you are a casual viewer fascinated by the idea of hidden treasures in your pocket, or a seasoned collector who knows the thrill of chasing rarity, the story of the 1979 half dollar proves that sometimes mistakes are worth far more than perfection. And it reminds us all to look closely at every coin we touch, because who knows if the next fortune is already in your hands. And as we continue to share these incredible stories, we invite you to imagine the excitement of discovering such a coin yourself, the shock, the disbelief, the joy, and the life-changing possibility that a single piece of metal can hold the power to transform your future. And that is the wonder of numismatics and why this channel exists, to bring you tales that amaze, inspire, and maybe even send you searching through your own pockets and collections for the next legendary coin. Next, 1986 D half-dollar coin, where we dive into the incredible world of rare and valuable coins, the stories behind them, the mysteries that make them worth unimaginable amounts of money. And today we are going to talk about one of the most shocking and exciting discoveries in numismatic history, the 1986 D half-dollar coin that has been valued at an astonishing $65 million because of its unique combination of errors, mistakes, minting anomalies, and sheer rarity that sets it apart from any other coin ever produced. And as we begin this fascinating journey, you will see why this ordinary-looking half-dollar with the Denver Mint mark has captivated collectors and investors, creating bidding wars, speculation, and endless curiosity. Because coins like this are not just money, they are stories, they are history, they are miracles of chance. And the 1986 D half-dollar is one of the greatest examples of how a simple piece of change can transform into a fortune beyond imagination. So let's go deep into its details, its possible minting errors, the history of the Kennedy half-dollar series, the theories about how such a coin came to exist, and why people have placed such astronomical value on it. Because the answers lie in a combination of craftsmanship, human error, technology of the US Mint in the 1980s, and the unpredictable quirks of production that sometimes give birth to legends. Now the 1986 D-half dollar carries the familiar design of John F. Kennedy's portrait on the obverse. Created to honor the late president after his assassination in 1963, and the heraldic eagle on the reverse holding the olive branch and arrows, surrounded by the inscriptions United States of America and half dollar. But in 1986 coins struck at the Denver Mint sometimes experienced issues like misaligned dies, filled dies, striking pressure variations, and even occasional use of leftover planches from previous years or from experimental runs. And while most of these errors were minor and went unnoticed, one particular coin that surfaced decades later shocked the world by showing a combination of flaws so unique and so dramatic that it became essentially one of a kind. And when something is one of a kind in the coin world, it becomes priceless, because collectors thrive on rarity. Now let us imagine the kinds of errors that could have elevated the value of this coin to $65 million. It could have been struck on the wrong planchette, for example a silver planchette left over from 1964 Kennedy half dollars which were 90% silver, or on a foreign planchette that slipped into the presses during a production overlap. Or perhaps the coin shows dramatic double die obverse or reverse features where the lettering and date 1986 or Kennedy's profile appear doubled, tripled, or even distorted, creating a shadow-like image that only magnifies the error's appeal. Or perhaps the coin was an off-center strike where part of the design is missing and a blank crescent of metal remains, or a broad strike error where the coin was struck without a collar leading to a wider than normal appearance. Or maybe it has clipped planchette errors where part of the edge is missing creating a bite-like mark, or lamination errors where the clad layer peeled away to reveal the copper core beneath. And what if this particular 1986 D-half dollar combines several of these errors at once, making it a true anomaly? Now some theories suggest that this coin was an experimental strike, perhaps done as a die trial with unique metal composition, or as a mistake during the mint's transition phases when presses were adjusted and planches accidentally mismatched. And the idea that such a coin survived, escaped the mint, and eventually landed in the hands of a collector who recognized its value adds to the legend. Because accidents like this are supposed to be caught and destroyed, yet one piece survived, and that is why it carries such immense value. Now $65 million may sound impossible for a half dollar, but when we look at the art world where paintings sell for hundreds of millions, or the collectibles market where trading cards and rare stamps break records, we can see that value is defined by rarity, demand, and the willingness of buyers. And when wealthy collectors compete for something unique like the 1986 D-half dollar, the price can soar beyond imagination. And this coin's story has only fueled its mystique, with whispers of it being part of private collections, rumors of secretive bidding wars, and speculation about whether it was once owned by a famous figure or institution. And let us not forget that the Kennedy half-dollar series itself has always been a coin of great symbolic importance, associated with history, tragedy, and national pride. So when errors occur on such a coin, it elevates not just the monetary value but also the emotional and historical significance, because collectors are not only buying metal, they are buying a piece of American history. And as we go deeper into the technical side, we must consider the role of minting technology in the 1980s, a period when the US Mint was modernizing with improved presses and quality control but still prone to human and mechanical error. Dies could wear out. Grease could fill the crevices of design elements, leading to missing details like weak letters in Liberty or missing parts of the eagle's wings. Misaligned dies could cause the obverse and reverse to not line up properly, creating a rotated die error where flipping the coin reveals a misaligned back, and striking pressure variations could cause some details to appear faint or incomplete. And each of these alone might make a coin collectible, but when combined they create legends. And this is where the 1986 D-half dollar steps into the spotlight, because collectors believe it represents one of the most dramatic examples ever discovered. And when the coin was authenticated, graded, and revealed to the public it sent shockwaves through the community, as people scrambled to search their own collections for similar pieces, driving up the hype and fueling the narrative. Now think of the possibilities. Imagine a coin struck on a unique alloy accidentally mixed at the Denver Mint, or an overstrike where a quarter or foreign coin was overstruck with half-dollar dies, leaving ghost images of two designs overlapping. Or imagine a proof-like finish on a circulation strike coin creating a hybrid look. Any of these scenarios could explain why this coin has been valued so highly, and while only one coin like this is known, its story continues to inspire treasure hunts as people search through old rolls, bank bags, and family collections hoping to find lightning in a bottle, because the idea that a single coin could change your life forever is irresistible, and that is what makes numismatics such a fascinating pursuit, because unlike other collectibles, coins pass through millions of hands and hide in plain sight until someone with knowledge recognizes their value. And so the 1986 D half-dollar is more than just a piece of metal. It is a reminder of possibility, of luck, of history, and of the incredible heights that human error can reach when transformed into rarity. And as collectors know, perfection in minting is boring, but imperfection is priceless. And that is why this coin stands as one of the most legendary and valuable half-dollars in existence, a symbol of how even mistakes can become treasures, and a story that will continue to echo through the numismatic world for generations, inspiring countless people to take a closer look at every coin they encounter, because the next $65 million discovery might be waiting in the palm of their hand. And the wonder of it all is that the story of this coin is still unfolding, with speculation about future auctions, potential museum displays, and even higher values as rarity continues to climb, making the 1986 D half-dollar not only a coin but a phenomenon that bridges history, error, and human fascination into one unforgettable piece. Last 1991 P half-dollar coin. Today, as we dive into one of the most mind-blowing and fascinating stories in the entire world of rare coins, a story that combines mystery, history, mistakes, and extraordinary value. And today we are talking about the 1991 P half-dollar coin, a piece that might look like an ordinary Kennedy half-dollar at first glance but is in fact one of the most shocking discoveries in numismatics, because one particular example of this coin has been valued at an astonishing $70 million due to its rare and unusual errors and mistakes. And as we explore this coin together, you will see why it has become legendary among collectors, why the errors and anomalies that appear on it are so significant, and why people are willing to pay unimaginable amounts for what started as just 50 cents of currency struck at the Philadelphia Mint in 1991. So sit back and let's unfold the story of the 1991 P half-dollar and the long list of possible mistakes that could make such a coin worth more than some of the most expensive art pieces or rare jewels in the world. Because this coin's journey is not just about money, it is about the way human error, minting technology, and collector passion collide to create something priceless. Now, to set the scene, we should first remember that the Kennedy half-dollar series was first introduced in 1964 after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. It quickly became an iconic coin in American culture, and by 1991 it was still being minted regularly, though mostly avoided in circulation as fewer people used half-dollars in daily transactions, meaning many pieces from that era stayed hidden in rolls, bags, or collections for decades. And while most 1991 P half-dollars are worth little more than face value, a handful of dramatic era coins emerged that captured the imagination of collectors, none more so than the legendary piece now valued at $70 million. But what could make this coin so valuable? Let's talk about the wide variety of minting errors and anomalies that could elevate its worth, starting with double die errors, where the design elements on the obverse or reverse appear doubled because the die itself was improperly prepared. And on a Kennedy half-dollar, this could mean seeing a ghost-like duplicate of Kennedy's profile, doubled letters in Liberty, or a double date where 1991 shows as if stamped twice. An error like that on a pristine coin could already fetch thousands, But imagine if the doubling was dramatic and combined with other mistakes. Then we have off-center strikes, where the design is not aligned properly with the planchette and part of the coin shows a blank crescent. Collectors love these, especially when the date and mint mark remain visible. Then there are broad strikes where the collar that normally holds the coin during striking is missing, causing the coin to spread out wider than normal and creating a misshapen appearance. And there are also clipped planchette errors where part of the edge is missing as if a bite has been taken out of the coin. And then we must consider transitional or wrong planchette errors, which are some of the rarest and most valuable types, meaning the coin was struck on a planchette intended for another denomination or composition. And rumors about the $70 million 1991 p-half-dollar suggest it might have been struck on a silver planchette left over from earlier minting experiments, or even on a foreign coin blank that was accidentally fed into the press at Philadelphia. And these kinds of errors are so rare they create instant legends. But the possibilities don't stop there, because we also know about missing clad layer errors where one side of the coin has lost its nickel layer, exposing the copper underneath, giving it a dramatic two-tone appearance. And there are struck-through errors where grease, cloth, or even a small piece of metal debris got between the die and the planchette, leaving behind strange impressions, textures, or missing details. And collectors often pay top dollar for dramatic examples. Imagine Kennedy's portrait with part of his face missing or smeared due to such an error. That would be unforgettable. And then there are rotated die errors where the obverse and reverse are not aligned at 180 degrees as they should be. So when you flip the coin, the back image is crooked. These are rare and highly collectible. And on top of all this, we can add die cracks, cuts, and breaks, where aging or damaged dies leave behind raised lines, blobs, or missing chunks of design. And some of the most valuable coins in history have dramatic die cracks that run across the portrait or lettering, giving the coin a unique character. Now imagine if a single 1991 p-half-dollar carried not just one but multiple of these errors: a dramatic double die, a wrong planchette, a missing clad layer, and a rotated die all combined. That would make it a one-of-a-kind masterpiece of minting chaos. And that is exactly the kind of thing that could explain why a single coin has been valued at $70 million, because rarity in the coin world is everything. And the more unique a piece is, the more collectors will fight to own it. And when wealthy collectors with virtually unlimited resources compete, prices can soar beyond imagination, just as we have seen with art, stamps, and rare artifacts. And so the story of the 1991 p-half-dollar valued at $70 million is not just about technical mistakes but also about human psychology, the drive to own something nobody else can, the prestige of holding history in your hand, and the passion that turns ordinary metal into treasure. And when this coin was first revealed, authenticated, and graded, it created shockwaves. People could hardly believe that such a coin existed, let alone that it could fetch such a price. But as the news spread, it inspired countless others to start checking their change, their rolls, their inherited collections, because the dream of finding a life-changing coin is something we all can share. And this coin became almost mythical, a symbol of how mistakes can sometimes be more valuable than perfection. And part of what makes the 1991 p-half-dollar so fascinating is the historical context of the early 1990s, when the US Mint was still refining its processes, still vulnerable to occasional mix-ups and mishaps. And while most of those errors were caught and destroyed, every once in a while one would slip through the cracks, survive, and decades later be recognized for its extraordinary uniqueness. And this particular coin is believed to be the pinnacle of such survival. And while some argue that its valuation is exaggerated, others believe it will only rise in value as time goes on, because the coin collecting world is constantly evolving and the demand for one-of-a-kind pieces never diminishes. In fact, it grows. And so when you think of the 1991 p-half-dollar worth $70 million, think not just of the errors it carries but of the story it tells, a story of chance, of rarity, of discovery, and of the human fascination with owning something truly unique. And that is why coins like this capture headlines, inspire treasure hunts, and create legends, because they prove that hidden treasures might still be waiting in the most ordinary places. A coin jar, a roll from the bank, a dusty drawer, and that possibility is what makes collecting so exciting. So as we share the tale of this incredible coin with you, remember that the next discovery might be out there, waiting to shock the world again. Because history has shown us that sometimes the most valuable things are born not from perfection but from mistakes. And the 1991 half dollar valued at $70 million is the ultimate proof of that. A tiny piece of metal with a giant story that continues to amaze, inspire, and fuel the dreams of collectors everywhere.